Last year, 16-year-old Sergio Pena won a competition held by Revolution Racing to earn a spot to race in the Toyota All-Star Showdown. But he didn't stop there. Pena went on to win the pole for the event, creating a very young front row beside 19-year-old Joey Logano. The change in race format this year left drivers with a final 25-lap shootout while other drivers were wrecking in the back. Logano and Pena were up front battling for the lead. The two dominated the race, leading every lap. Despite a late race charge by defending race winner Matt Kovaluk, Logano was able to hang on and take the checkers for his second showdown win. Sergio Pena finished second. Rich history in this event, starting back in 2003 when Austin Cameron, after fighting cancer during the season, was able to come out and be victorious in the first ever Toyota All-Star Showdown.
Mike Johnson from the East actually won the first time for the East guys out here in 2004. And the farthest ever back for a winner in 24.
David Gilliland, West Series driver, was able to capture the trophy in 2005.
Mike Olson actually crossed the finish line first, was disqualified for failing post-race inspection.
Then Matt Kovaluk from the East Series was able to capture the trophy in 2006.
He had finished second a couple times before and finally got that first win.
Claimed it to be his biggest victory. Joey Logano, after an extremely successful East Series season, was able to capture the crown in 2007.
He's done some pretty good things since then, too.
Certainly has. Matt Kovaluk comes back to be the first ever two-time winner of the Showdown in 2009.
That same Joey Logano was penalized on the last lap for rough driving, relegating him to back of the pack.
But then he was able to regain the title in 2010. Joey Logano, the second two-time winner of the Toyota All-Star Showdown. And there you see the winners, the previous winners, and where they've come out of, at least the series that they were representing when they raced here in the NASCAR Toyota All-Star Showdown. And this showdown is extremely important for a lot of reasons. Travis Pastrana obviously making his first ever start for NASCAR, but we've got a lot of young drivers that are trying to make their way up into the ranks of NASCAR. And this is really the place to start. We're going to see a late model race in just a few moments, and that's really the ladder system that NASCAR likes to see drivers take.
Yeah, NASCAR definitely has a definitive ladder system. You start with the weekly racing series of NASCAR. Whelen sponsors that series, and they've just agreed to sponsor it for 10 more years too. But that's where these guys get started. And then you try to graduate to the regional touring series like the K&N Pro Series or the modifieds. And that's where a lot of these guys are plucked. Right here from the local racers, the weekly racers, then they move up to the K&N Series, and then people like Joey Logano move on to the Sprint Cup Series, Nationwide Series, and the Truck Series. So a great ladder system here at NASCAR, and this is where it's going to start right here tonight for a lot of these late model guys.
Last night we saw the super late models. We want to take a look at the specs for the late models that will run a 50-lap race tonight. Here are the specifics.
You can see the horsepower is about 440 horsepower. These cars will run about 130 miles an hour. Important thing is they weigh 2,900 pounds with the driver.
Earlier tonight, there were 2 heat races to determine the grid, the 25-car grid. And so this was just a couple hours ago. Sean Woodside in the 45 started on the pole of the first heat race, and he was able to capture the checker in that race, so he was locking into one of the front row positions.
Sean actually finished second last year in this race.
But a little problem getting started. That's the 17 of Mike Johnson. Spins the tires on the green flag. There were problems behind the field in this race.
Nick Janitis put the heartbreak of last night, braking in the super late model race, puts that aside, and he will start on the front row after winning the second qualifying race.
And let's go down to the track again with Dick Berggren.
And Sean Woodside, who is very experienced in these kinds of cars as well as at this particular racetrack. You got 24 guys that want to take your position. How are you going to keep them all back there?
Hopefully with a good car. Bill Lowe did a great engine for us, Mike Harvick chassis, and the car's really working well this weekend. We unloaded off the trailer, the car was real good, and we won the qualifying race, qualified third earlier, and hopefully everything goes our way.
Crew Chief Mike Harvick, father of NASCAR star Kevin Harvick. What does he bring to your operation?
Well, he, if you know him, he brings a lot to the operation. We keep the car up at his shop, and you know, it's a long trip for us going from Santa Clarita up to Bakersfield, but well worth it. And Mike's always treated us real well and prepared a great car for us with Apache Rental sponsoring the deal.
All right, we wish you well tonight. Jim.
And sharing the front row will be a man who's driven this race car, minus the paint job and the new number, to a championship and a lot of race victories here at Irwindale. Nick Joanitis, 40 career victories. I imagine this one is going to be really special if you're able to nail it tonight. How are you going to do it?
Hey, again, showdown, same as last night. We're hoping for a different script. We led last night, unfortunately blew a motor. You know, got to thank Luis Martinez for giving me the opportunity to drive this car. My team owner, Lloyd McGee, sold it at the end of last year, and Luis asked me to drive it for one race, so we're going to give it everything we can. This Jackson race car is pretty stout tonight, and see if we can hold off Woodside over here, my old Saugus rival.
Exactly, going back a few years, but think about tonight, a 50-lapper. You've had great success with 100-lap, 75-lap races. You race here enough weekly now. What's it going to take in a 50-lap sprint to get it done?
50 laps, hey, you know, we got to go right from lap one, no letting off.
The thoughts of Nick Joanitis, who is certainly a very, very fast racer around Irwindale's half mile. Guys?
Thanks, Jim. And that's next on the list of things happening here on Speed. It will be a 50-lap late model race. That is coming up next. And setting it up for the NASCAR Toyota All-Star Showdown, which is always electric and emotional. Joey Logano winning a couple years back. Matt Kovala goes back to victory lane. And a year ago, it was Joey Logano that held off Sergio Pena for his second win. Stay with us. Taking another look back, 2003, it was the inaugural year for the Toyota All-Star Showdown. It pitted the best drivers from NASCAR's Touring Series against each other in a 125-mile race. In the end, it was Austin Cameron from the West beating out Andy Santerre from the East to claim the first East-West Showdown.
Did you see that crowd?
A magical event. We've got a great crowd on hand once again tonight.
It just gets better and better. I was here for that inaugural race back in 2003, and there was so much interest from all the competitors and all the fans, and it hasn't stopped. It's been better.
Another guy who's been here since the beginning of this event, Dick Berggren. Dick?
And having seen all of these Toyota All-Star races, I got to tell you, Rick, this is the best crowd ever. That is a capacity crowd up in the grandstand, and no wonder. We have got drivers here literally from all over the world, champions from all sorts of kinds of racing, and they are all here tonight to try to win the biggest trophies in this kind of sport.
In the past, Dick, there's been a large field of race cars. They've had 2 qualifying races earlier today to whittle it down to the best 25 machines. Last night we saw a field of 25 and a very clean, very exciting super late model race here at Toyota Speedway at Irwindale. Tonight, the late models up front, a lot of veterans, but again, they whittled it down to the best 25 that have seen this racetrack before, and the ones that haven't had to race their way in out of the Daytona 500.
25 cars going 50 laps to determine who will be king of the short track for the late model series. Will it be that 41? Possibly Sean Woodside out front of this field. He will bring the field to the green flag tonight in his number 45. And Nick Joanitis trying to do better than what happened last night. He started on the inside of row number 1 last night and ended up blowing a motor early in the event, so very disappointed, but was running well.
Yeah, and that was his last ride in that car for the super late models. And we heard him mention in an interview earlier that Luis Martinez gave him a shot to drive this car. This was his car from last year. Luis bought it, but he said, hey, why don't you drive it one more time?
Drivers are all strapped in. They're waiting to hear the command to start engines. And we're going racing when we come back to Toyota Speedway at Irwindale. A great crowd on hand.